How from not being known at all, get to millions of visits in a blog, 2 million of visits on the professional page on Pinterest, and 10,000 followers on Instagram and a monetized YouTube channel in just 1 year.
Hello, everybody. Today we have not the usual interview with an external guest. Today, actually, we have my partner and co-founder of TopExpertBrand Accelerator, Marina Vishnyakova. We actually get a lot of questions from you, how to build a personal brand, build your visibility, become known as go-to expert. And one of the most common questions actually is where to start. So Marina, I know you start building your brand from blogging. Tell us why.
Well, my story goes back to 2015 when I unexpectedly lost my job. I told this story in different webinars, I think, and different other events that we organized with you, Elena. And that was the turning point that made me realize how important it is actually to have different streams of income, because in those times I lost the job and I lost my salary. So for me, this was the easiest way to start writing in order to show my expertise and in order to show what actually I can do. But also one thing that I can tell you, I didn't rush immediately into writing the blog because it took me some time to actually understand, okay, what should I write about? What is in demand, what is trending, what my audience needs. And there was a period of time where actually I was, let's say, studying, exploring and learning what I should write about. Yes, I had expertise in marketing. Yes, I was diving deep in those times in online marketing and social media, because that's where I started building my brand and my business as an entrepreneur from, because when I was working for a company, I should admit I was not present at all on social media. I had a profile. The only profile I had was Facebook, just to communicate with my friends and family who live all around the world. And then I had a profile on LinkedIn, which was absolutely, let's say, zero profile. I didn't have a good picture there. Yes, I think I even didn't have a picture there. I had it just closed, just to put there something as a type of resume, CV, to list where I was working. And that was all. So when I lost the job, I had to start everything from zero. I had to learn, I had to test, I had to implement to see what's working in order to start building my visibility. And actually it was the blog, yes.
And so as you mentioned, and we know that you achieved, like just in 1 year, those incredible results in terms of number of followers, visitors of the blog, and actually all other opportunities which came with this visibility. So what was then the step number 2 or 3? So you start writing, and then what?
And then it was actually start working on my own visibility, on the visibility of my blog. And the step number 2 is to understand and learn how to drive traffic, because one thing is to write things and just publish them there on WordPress. I had my blog on WordPress and I still have it. It's a blog in Spanish, which is about my other project that I do. But the tricky moment here is not only just writing. The tricky moment here is to understand how to drive traffic. And for me, let's say it took me years actually to learn, to test, to understand what works. I was learning from the best of the best in the industry, in online marketing, and I was trying to implement. Definitely, it's not, again, about learning. It's about learning, implementing, testing, and seeing what works. I can tell you one funny story, my experience, and not mistake, but learning. I don't like the words like mistakes, failures. So for me, it was learning. For almost 1 year, I was trying to monetize my blog using the native tool that WordPress has. And for me, definitely the blog, okay, it's the way that how I show my expertise. It's the way of self-development as well. It's the tool for self-development. As I see it, it's the tool for learning. But on the other hand, it's also the way to monetize my expertise. And for me, it was the first thing that started bringing me money. And this money was so little that in the beginning, I thought that it doesn't work. So as I mentioned, I started to use the tool of WordPress. And it's so funny that in 1 year, in the first year of monetizing my blog, I earned around 120 euros. And I thought that definitely doesn't work. I was not thinking that the problem isn't the tool. I was thinking that the problem was mine, that I was doing something wrong, that I didn't have enough traffic, that I need to dive deeper into that concept, that I need to check for other ways of monetizing the blog, that these tools of monetization through advertising, third-party advertising doesn't work. And then it came out, well, it actually gave me a good learning point, because I started to dive deeper into what ways, additional ways of monetizing of the blog exist. I started to learn and implement other different things. So now I know that blog can be monetized in different ways. Just recently, this year, I decided to go back to this idea and check another tool, which is a Google AdSense, and to see if it works for monetizing a blog. So I opened an account there. I registered, I actually had an account because I have already YouTube monetized, and you need to have Google AdSense account for that. So I registered my blog there. And I was just forgot about this, because you need to wait for an approval. And when I opened it after maybe 3 weeks, I saw 180 euros on my account in AdSense, just for a very short amount of time that I didn't open my blog. I was not writing there anything. I was not doing any special promotion for that. And I was like, wow, that's definitely the turning point. And now I need to pay attention more to start another time working in a more, let's say, strategic way on my blog.
So actually, when we met and we've discussed what you do, you were in the middle of building the whole ecosystem actually of various social media accounts and blog in one big system, which actually give the results. So, and maybe before I had another question regarding the content. Let's talk about it later on, because this is always also important. I was impressed how you were like really technically savvy in all those last trends and last tools, because there are so many options, plugins, kind of underlying things which we don't see when we go on a website, for example. But what really impressed me, that at the end of the day, you can apply it without being a technical person, and you explain it very well in the lessons of our program, how to, not being an expert in that field, really implement it. So how you actually start to be so knowledgeable in that?
The thing here is not to be scared. We have one good proverb in Russian, that eyes are getting scared, but hands just go and do the things. So I think it also the thing that is applicable here. And for me, I'm not a tech person at all. I'm not the one who can code websites, who can, I don't know, do the things. What I always look for is the simplest way. I always check for maybe YouTube tutorials. Then I was doing, for example, special course on the things that on the platform that we use to host our website and to host our course there. So I try to learn directly from people who already have done that and implemented that, because it's the easiest way in order to try to find out yourself, okay, what button I should push, what code I should put there. I just go and search for what works and what other people implemented. And it's just following the instructions. That's it. Don't get overwhelmed with the thought that I'm not a techie person, so I will not be able to write my own blog. I will not be able to monetize and run my YouTube channel because I don't understand anything in IT and I don't know, in all these technical things. It's not at all. I don't have any technical education. This is just a thing to check for the instructions and do it step by step. That's it.
Okay, so the main tip I hear, don't be afraid, just don't let you be stopped by this thinking. just go
Absolutely.
and see that it's easy thing to do. So now, Marina, I wanted to come back. So you mentioned earlier that success in this whole blog and building visibility across social media is first part is good content, and second part knowing like really technically where to go and how to put all that there out there. So what about your content? I know that you've learned very quickly in Instagram from 0 to 18,000 followers because people were interested actually in what you do. So tell us about that. What are tips about writing content which attracts people?
The approach that I take in everything, it's not rushing into doing immediately the things. It's taken some time to analyze, to understand the things, to get clarity. As for the content, for me, the first thing was first to spend some time on self-discovery. Okay, now I'm jobless, but I have this expertise. I have this knowledge, and this is the thing that I can share. And then I started to, actually, I opened my Instagram account in those times, in addition to writing the blog, because it was also the way of testing what actually people want. And for me, it was the way of starting and speaking with the audience, starting to write the different blogs on the topics of my expertise, but at the same time, trying to get information from people, because knowing your audience is a really crucial thing. And we spent quite a number of time on that in our program, because without understanding and knowing all types of audience that you have that follows you, who can be converted into your potential customers, who can be converted into people who can potentially influence your career, your growth, your development, and many more things, you need to really understand what they want. And then understanding what they want, what problems, issues they have, then thinking about your own expertise, about your value, your experience. You need to look for the ways how to combine it all that and make that puzzle work for you, what people want and what you know. And then there is another great component to that, personal brand. It's all your additional things. It's your way of communication. It's your authenticity, but conscious authenticity, not just, okay, I'm like this and that's it. It's about finding your strengths, about finding what really attracts people, why they come to you. So it takes time to understand that, to analyze, and to put it into practice. And then you create the content based on that. So what your people want, what you know, what are the trending topics, how you can convert it into the content that will really become viral. And for me, at some point, I had some viral posts in my blog that brought me really a huge number of visits and comments and likes, both on my blog, on my YouTube channel. So it's about having clarity. Let's call it like this.
So Marina, I have several questions here. So first one would be, so you were working in the finance industry in director position, and then all of a sudden you convert yourself to this entrepreneur blogging, going out there, so things you've never done before. So was it like easy for you to change this hat and become totally different person, let's say, in the way how you present yourself to others?
No, it was really a tough experience for me, because in the beginning, and I also mentioned the story of myself in different events that we had, I didn't go straight to blogging on marketing and on all this visibility and personal branding things, because it took me 1 year to actually uncover myself, what I was about. It took me days, months, and a year of errors and trials. And in the beginning, accidentally, I was just doing the things I was doing, the personalized journals for people. First, I did, it's my hobby, but people started to ask me to do them for themselves. And then the moment came that showed me actually that I need to go back to what I used to do in the financial industry, because I was working as a business development director, and I was growing the visibility of the company, of the financial company, for the last 11 years before I lost a job in different markets. So then I started to apply all this knowledge to entrepreneurship. But before, it was actually that path of understanding. So it started with journals, the thing that was my hobby, and that I was at some point really ashamed to admit that after being at the top positions in financial industry, I was just making journals. But that brought me to that point when people whom I was teaching also how to make those journals, they started to ask me, okay, Marina, how do we sell them? If I will be making those journals, how do I become visible and how I invite people to buy my journals? So this was the pivoting point that brought me to writing the blog about how to market your services, and actually how to market and make visible your services and sell your products and what you do. And this was in application to creative businesses first. Then the range of my customers and people who would get in touch with me was growing. So then I went and I learned and I studied coaching as well, because I was understanding that just marketing nowadays is not enough. You need to be really more conscious about your approach. So coaching helped me here, because it's not only about consulting, but I truly believe that every entrepreneur and every business owner needs first to understand himself, because it's him or it's her who started this business. There is something behind the business. There is something behind what they offer, and they need first to understand this. And coaching helps a lot actually to unleash all that potential that every business owner, every professional has. And then it's the application, the implementation part, where we add marketing tools, where we add all those visibility tools that help grow, but grow through your personal brand, through your authenticity, and through all that potential that you have inside. But very often you are scared to admit your greatness and all that you know.
And so actually, let's come back to this question of how to connect with your audience, because I hear what you say. There was this following who you are, or uncovering who you are. What is your passion? What was driving you as a creative entrepreneur? First, what you've done yourself, but then how to help others unleash this creativity and start monetizing that. And you mentioned that you had those viral posts. So what was different about this type of content, or what works the best when we communicate our ideas? Because we see a lot of dry posts in LinkedIn when people post just like a toaster manual type of things, which obviously are not working. So what are your secret sauce to that?
Well, those posts, and I can tell you, I can give you the examples of those posts that were viral. They were about my own experience and me seeing different things. The first post that went viral in my case, it was called "Does Miracle Mornings Work for Entrepreneurs?" And that was the first post that I'm writing my blog in Spanish, and it was reshared by University in Mexico for their huge alumni community. And that what brought me first great visibility and first real opportunities. And there I was commenting on the book of Hal Elrod about Miracle Mornings, but I was commenting on that through my own eyes, my perspective, and how I applied it to my routine. Because it's not just about following the rules, it's understanding how those rules can work better for you, what you can take out of that, and how it can help you actually to progress more, to grow more, and so on. And this was the first post. And the second post, it was actually the YouTube video that went viral. It was about how to start a creative business. And it was again told from the perspective of me being 20 years in financial industry and then starting to monetize my hobby, which was not before the way of earning money for me at all. So all my reflections, all my thoughts, all my insights, I put it into that video. And this what immediately got hundreds, thousands of views on YouTube, because I don't know who reshared that video, who did something with that video. This is a great surprise actually of internet marketing, because some of your posts can go so viral, just somebody reshares it, and then you have huge visibility. And the secret sauce perhaps here is also sharing you through this content that you are publishing, and then it resonates with people get involved in what you are talking about, and they start following you.
A great piece of advice, like really putting your story, how you went through what you've learned. And I would imagine it's not just like sometimes success, but you would share the failures or challenges on the way as well, which for a lot of people is like psychologically difficult to do, but that's what creates this connection human to human, because people can identify themselves in that, and they say, okay, she done that, so maybe I can try and I'll get these results as well, right?
Yeah, and I will add one more thing here. Sometimes it's even maybe not being afraid of becoming vulnerable when you publish your posts, because it always comes, especially to those professionals who have decades of years of experience, especially at some top positions, that they are scared about telling their story, scared about demonstrating their own point of view about certain things. They're scared about positioning themselves, after all, because what people will think, what my colleagues will think. I was there as well. I can tell you that why I started my blog in Spanish and why I started to do all that in Spanish, because before I have always been working in English and also promoting the company in the Russian-speaking market, the company for which I worked. And all my audience was either English-speaking or Russian-speaking. But in those times, I was so ashamed to show that I lost the job, that I lost all those privileges that I had, and that I started from creating the journals, which was just because I received comments from my friends, from some of my acquaintances, like, Marina, are you serious that you are doing that? Are you serious that you start to become a speaking head on Instagram? So in those times, like in 2015, 2016, it was still not the common thing. And many professionals who were at the top positions, especially in financial industry, they wouldn't think about themselves becoming a speaking head on Instagram, speaking about something. So for me, it was a tough experience. And I precisely started to write my blog in Spanish, and I put my Instagram in Spanish so that the circle of people who was around me, who was close to me, didn't understand what I was doing. Instagram in those times still didn't have the automatic translation. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and great that you mentioned that, like in those times, you were one of the pioneers, maybe. But now it's nice to see when people like really working for the corporate or entrepreneurs, they go much more out there because it works, actually, because this is the way to connect, not through PR strategy or company newsletter, but really going out there and speak from the first-hand experience. Why you work for this company? What do you believe in? What are your values? What are your struggles? And that what creates the whole thing, make it like really a human experience. So this is really, really great tips. Thanks for sharing that. So we covered actually these secret sauce of great content. And now let's jump back to this technical side, because you mentioned that...
I want to add one thing, Elena, sorry. I just want to really stress the importance of being visible now, because now it's about your leadership position. It's about really helping others. It's about guiding others. It's about sharing your expertise, your knowledge, what you've learned. And if you feel yourself like you have something to say, you really need to do that. And now we have so many opportunities for that, starting from Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, blog. We live in this internet era, so we really need to do that. We need to become visible, because we say that at our TopExpertBrand Accelerator company, that your expertise matters. So don't be afraid of going vocal and going visible if you have something to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so once we decided to do that, then we need to choose actually where to go. So you mentioned you have a blog, and then you mentioned like YouTube channel, Instagram. So tell us how you build actually this whole ecosystem and how those pieces are related together.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it's not done in one day, everything. For me, it was analyzing where my audience is. Well, blog, I chose that because I like writing. And for me, it was, as it seemed to be, the easiest way of showing my expertise. And then I was thinking, since I was working with entrepreneurs, and Instagram in those times was just starting that exponential growth around the topic, converting from the platform where people just would share pictures into something bigger, more close to business development and business growth. Then I decided to try Instagram. And for me, it was also a new experience. And I will mention one more thing here about my fears. I had Facebook account for my friends and family. I didn't want to appear there as well, so that they don't see me. So I went to Instagram where nobody was. People from financial industry were not on Instagram. And I started to develop it there. Then Instagram became a good way of drive traffic to my blog. So I would announce new posts that I publish, and people from Instagram would go and check that. And then I had an experience of using Pinterest. Many professionals do not use this platform, and they think that it's the place where you would usually look for inspiration for design of your apartment, or for recipes of how to make a good chocolate cake. But that's not like this. And actually, Pinterest helped me to bring that enormous visibility to my blog and to what I was doing and do now in Spanish for my project. Because I started to use Pinterest from this business approach angle. I created the business account, and I started to promote all my articles there through nice pins with nice titles. And again, even building my account there based on my audience, what my audience would like to find there. So this was the thing. And this helped me to create that ecosystem, that social media and internet ecosystem that complements each other and that brings traffic to different resources that I have. Another point here is, I mentioned in the beginning that one thing is to write the post and another thing is to drive the traffic. Also, there is one more thing behind. You need to learn how to, for example, optimize your blog. For me, it was an interesting thing. It was like uncovering new possibilities and opportunities. That's why I was diving deep into search engine optimization. That's why I was diving deep into how to better write articles so that it's not only people who read them, but it's only Google who reads and understands my articles and then highlights and bring them to the better positions in Google ranking. So for me, it was interesting. That's why I took it also as a self-development tool, as a self-learning and growth tool. And I was just learning, testing, trying, seeing what works and sticking to the things that would work for me. The same with YouTube channel. And I think maybe I will mention here that for those professionals who are thinking because they will listen, for example, to this episode and people will think, okay, I need to write a blog, but I hate writing, but I need to write the blog because Marina was mentioning that it worked well for me. And I had cases like this that people would recognize that, okay, Marina, you mentioned that, and I was trying to do that, but I didn't work for me. But do you like doing that for real? So before rushing into building your visibility at some platform, I would say that think first what you're really you are passionate about. Is it writing? Is it speaking? So if you are more, let's say, inclined to write things, then start a blog. If it's more about speaking, then go and try YouTube. The only difference here is that it will take you more time to have, for example, YouTube monetized. If you want to do that, then it will happen with the blog. So there are some tricks that we explain in our program, but I mentioned them also here, that you need to pay attention to these factors as well.
Yeah, you've done the whole module on those major platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, with how to approach that everyone can choose the option which is relevant to them, because I understand there is no recipe fit to everybody, but you need to really know what is out there, where is your audience, then combine and build like individual ecosystem of those social media. And of course, that's what we know. You don't need to be present in all of them. And specifically, you don't need to start with all of them. So you really need to choose strategically one or two, and then, as in your case, add one after another.
Absolutely.
A question I wanted to ask here. I know that you mentioned that you have your YouTube channel monetized. So what ones need to do to get it monetized? How it works actually?
Well, you need to comply with certain requirements that YouTube has. You cannot start your channel and monetize it immediately, because what YouTube wants, they want you to be present, to create the content for some time, and then first grow your visibility on the channel. For example, at this very point, to qualify for YouTube monetization, you need to have as a minimum 1,000 followers, and it changed a couple of years ago. Before it was much easier, but I think since the number of channels with huge following is growing, so
yeah, of course.
the restrictions also are getting there. Then you need to have 4,000 valid hours watched of your content that happened in the last 12 months. So looking from the angle of logic, you cannot start monetizing your channel earlier than 12 months pass through the moment when you started your YouTube channel. So you need to keep that in mind. You also need to check the monetization policy, because the topics of your channel depend and decide whether your channel will be monetized or not. But usually if you don't do anything strange on YouTube, they let you do that. And then you need to have an AdSense account, the one I mentioned before. It's all within Google ecosystem that you created there. And once you have everything verified, and once you have all those requirements done, then you can monetize your YouTube channel. But definitely here, the thing is to create on your content which will match the interests of audience on YouTube and what is trending there. In my case, it's educational videos, and the educational videos is actually what, as far as I know, works better on YouTube. And if we speak about the content for people, for professionals, because people want to learn something and they look for how to. So you can tell your how to, and you can get paid for that by Google. YouTube, well, it's also the part of Google.
Very useful tips, Marina. Thanks for sharing all this behind the scenes, because that's true that we don't see it when we just watch YouTube video. And you mentioned one interesting thing, that you need those 4,000 watching hours. So that's actually what YouTube calculates automatically, so you can track this metric. But anyway, it takes time. It's not day number 2 you're in YouTube that you can get it. So what is behind that? I understand that you need to start as early as you can, because it takes time. So what do you advise people who are maybe working in the company and they're thinking maybe one day I want to go independent, or one day I want to monetize my brand, but it will be somewhere in the future?
Well, I can say only one thing here. You should have started it yesterday, researching how to write your blog, or how to start your YouTube channel, what you will put there, what your audience needs. So even if you are working for the company, but there are different reasons. You may be thinking that you want to become independent and want to become a consultant, for example, in your industry. There is a risk that you will lose a job, like it happened to me, and I was not ready for that at all. To create that security for yourself, if you are feeling like you are the person that can create content, that can actually share your expertise, and that you can help other people through what you do, then I would recommend you to start now, already thinking about at least one channel of showcasting your content in order to build your visibility. Start thinking just when you finish listening or watching this episode, and let it be your homework. Write on the paper about all those tips that I mentioned from your position, how you could do that. What are the first steps that you would take in order to start showing your expertise and becoming visible?
We were discussing those ingredients of success with visibility and personal branding, that you have system, you need to be consistent, and you need to be strategic. And then doing that, you will have this tipping point. Then all of a sudden, you will have this huge visibility, and it will grow as a snowball. And then your personal brand start working on you. So Marina, tell us how it was in your case.
One thing that you need to keep in mind, that it doesn't happen tomorrow. Yes, it takes time, but it's not that difficult and it's not that overwhelming. You need to stay there and write your blog 24/7. Actually, if you check my blog, I have around 30 maybe articles written there. I have just 20 YouTube videos, and I have almost 3,000 subscribers. And I have my account, my YouTube channel approved for monetization. It's not that you need to work constantly. What you need to do, you need to work strategically. You need to work consistently and systematically. And then at some point you get your post viral, and then you will see that tipping point. Because for me, I was doing a very consistent work on Pinterest, for example. And what I can say now I have around 3 million visits per month.
Wow.
Several months ago, I came to the point when I had 4.2 millions per month to my Pinterest account. And Pinterest account is the place that gathers for me those people who are interested in marketing, entrepreneurial mindset, and who follow all these in Spanish. I have 85,000 followers on my Pinterest business account. So just imagine that traffic going to my blog. Just imagine that traffic consuming my articles, all those tips and information, my videos that I share. It will not happen just overnight. This is for sure. But if you do it consistently, then in 1 year, you will see really huge results if you do it consistently and strategically.
Yeah, it actually compound effect which takes place, and sometimes I like the metaphor on pumping the water, because imagine that there is a well and water somewhere very deep inside, and you're pumping and pumping and pumping. Water is still not there, and you think, okay, it's just not working. You leave it, and the water was just one pump away from having this huge fountain and abundance of it. And that's actually what I hear in what you say, that you really keep going, trust the system, trust the process, and this point will come.
And about compound effect, it's a great thing. It's one of the favorite things of Warren Buffett. I don't know if you checked information and his thoughts, but I think Warren Buffett would not advise bad things. So compound effect is really the thing that works for me. There are certain secrets about that. There are certain tips that I can share, but it's a long conversation. It's a huge conversation that we
but
can
you shared
have
explicitly in our
but
program
I shared
anyway.
many things already. I think that can help. But this is the thing: 5 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 1 hour there per week, or 2 hours per month. Even if you work for a company, you can find time for doing that. And just doing that consistently in a year, you will see that your visibility, it's not guaranteed again. It depends on the quality of your content. It depends on how you do that, how you express that. But if you do it following some of the tips that I shared here at this episode, I think you can reach that tipping point that can change so many things for you and bring so many opportunities.
Fantastic. So we're exactly at the end of our episode. And to conclude, we started this episode with the question we get from our audience: where to start? So someone is listening to us and thinking where to start. What are your top 3 priorities? Maybe because you can start with so many things, where they need to focus.
Step number 1, take your time, sit down, put yourself a cup of tea or coffee, and just write down the things, the key things about yourself. Get clarity about yourself, what you can offer, what is your expertise, what your audience needs, wants, and why they go to you for certain things and for what exactly things they go to you. If you don't have an audience yet, like you think, but you, for example, work in a company, your audience might be your colleagues, your friends, your acquaintances, who might become your potential clients, your potential audience. So start asking them, and then put all those answers on paper in order to start crafting maybe kind of your personal brand map, the thing that we do in our program, which is the number one thing you need to do when you want to start growing your personal brand and visibility. And this will help you enormously to get clarity. So first thing is get clarity about yourself. The second thing is, I would say, understand also what you want to do, your passion. Yes, it comes to the first step as well, getting clarity about yourself, but I would put it in a separate thing. Think what is the easiest thing for you, what really drives you, what gives you that, I don't know, fire in the eyes that you really would like to do. And then analyze what you have wrote in the step 1, analyze this step 2, answers that you also thought for yourself, and then move to the step number 3. Choose the platform and actually think about what you will be posting there. This is just the beginning, but this is just the beginning. There are so many other things that you need to do. After all, it's the process. It's not that you started right now and that's it. It's the process that will last during all the time that you will be willing to do that. But these are the first 3 seeds that you need to plant in order to make your
enable everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So fantastic tips, Marina. Thank you very much for sharing that. And just to build on what you've said about those 3 steps, it's kind of fundamental to start building the system, because you need to have a system in order to succeed. And when you do things chaotically or once in a while, not having the consistency, then nothing would work, right? So there should be systems and consistency in place. And by the way, that's why we spent so much time building our program, where we selected exactly what you need to do and when to be systemic and consistent with this approach.
And it's also a strategic approach.
Yes.
In addition, so you really need to be very strategic, because time is limited, but we have so much buzz, so much information around, that you can really get lost, you can get overwhelmed, and you can think that I will not do anything because I will just not cope with that. No, just be strategic, have the system, start taking the steps that you really need to take. And we mentioned it in this episode, what you need to start with. First with yourself, and only then with your visibility, and just keep working. And if you are interested in learning more, if you have any questions after listening or watching this episode, to just get in touch, because with Elena, with all our knowledge and experience and expertise accumulated in all the years of our work practice, working with our clients, building visibility and brand for ourselves, we can definitely find for you the best options on how to help you grow your brand and grow your visibility.
Fantastic. Thank you, Marina, and thank you, our audience, on being with us.
Yes, thank you very much for this interview.